I learned of his suicide. His suicide opened up something inside of me that had been locked away, of other people's pain that had been dumped on me, of places where, there was hurt I could do nothing about. And it was Pandora's box.
This is an open forum. I'm kind of, that's kind of why I wanted to start this fucking podcast, quite frankly, is what are we not talking about? In the recovery of villainy is kind of personal for me. 2017, I realized when the Vegas shooting happened, I realized that it was only going to be a few stops on the train that I was on. I wasn't sure when those stops would happen. But, I remember some blonde saying, why this guy hurt all these people that didn't hurt him? And my mind said, yet. Because everyone I haven't met yet hasn't hurt me yet. Like I'd been practicing for 9 or 10 years doing, the worst of worst that people could be charged of. I've done double murder jury trials and, family reunification cases. And the clients are always, their lives are so complicated. They've made their situation very difficult. Right. And you and I were talking even before we got on set about just that it seems like people don't want answers to the problem before it starts. They want solutions after they made the worst case possible. That's right. And then they want that on a dime. And that's the problem with that is, like, especially with law, I've now realized is, and this goes back to, I think, what we were talking about the change in kind of like the law school and system.
And lawyer identity.
And lawyer identity, right, is that we've taken the humanity out of the client and out of what we do.
Yes.
Like to a certain extent. And when I say identity, the human identity, I mean like the ability to deal with vulnerable and deep, difficult emotions. I've taken on, child rape cases and things like that. And so like and that's people I think have no concept of the amount of compassion that it takes. And I think you're one of the lawyers that has the ability to do it. There are some lawyers that do not have the ability to extend the compassion.
That's true.
There are some lawyers that don't have that ability to walk into that room where someone's been accused of absolutely something fucking awful and treat them with dignity, respect, without blame, shame, or judgment. And I will tell you, I'll just share with you, like my personal philosophy, I'm doing this whole trauma thing, but blame, shame, and judgment, I think is part of the reason why it's so dangerous. Is it seems to be, I don't know if it happened through all generations, just this one, I'm sure there was a bunch there because all of our sacred texts talk about that. But it really literally becomes the thing that threatens a human being with detachment from society. It's literally the whip that tells you, if you shame on you, it's your fault, you're a bad boy, go over there. And until you are remorseful, but remorseful always became, I'm sorry, I just want back together. And so it's so poignant what you said there about kind of that open up the Pandora's box. I mean, I've talked to so many lawyers, clients committing suicide after they call them up and give them what the sentencing offer is. Right. I had a client commit suicide after getting out of jail. I've had some die during overdose on fentanyl and all that stuff. And it hits. And can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What would you recommend lawyers do right now that might be listening to this? What would you recommend? Because you, like one thing that JB does, I'll share with the listeners, and you can expound on your own. When in Virginia, especially if a lawyer doesn't pass the character and fitness exam, you're one of the people. I don't know how many people.
I help people get through the character and fitness committee But basically, it's not doing any legal magic. It's basically working on that human being.
That's what my trauma work is now turned into.
That's what it's about.
Right. So I believe that the way we can build out our existences, whether it's the physiological existence in this world, thought existence in our cognitive, or emotional existence in our emotional, is I think of this Venn diagram: knowledge, access, and control. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I think of all of these things kind of interacting, and I can show the diagram in a different day, but it's we have these poignant experiences, and then we kind of experience that. How did that experience change your ability to move forward and handle it in the future after you had those 2 days of kind of dark night of the soul?